there's something about talking in a car with someone that's like so intimate and deep and peaceful, and it's like I've had some of my best conversations in a car.
Yeah.
There's something about.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
So there's a therapist, Jordan Peterson used to always quote him, right? And if you've ever gone on a hike, you'll actually realize this too. When you're talking in a car or when you're talking on a hike, the one thing you're not doing is looking at someone. You're always looking forward.
Yeah.
So
When you're driving, yes.
When you're driving especially. So you can talk more openly because you're not seeing how they might respond. If you say something now, you'll see my facial reaction from it.
Yeah.
And it'll lead down...
Manipulate you.
Kind of manipulate you small bit because it'll lead down different paths of emotion of how you might respond or what you might say next, or maybe you're a bit more cautious because I replied in a way that looked like, oh, that might have offended him in some way. But when you're not looking at someone and you're looking straight ahead, such as a hike or in a car, you can't see the reaction. So you're not picking up on how cues at all. You keep on talking.
Yeah.
And there's a bit more freedom attached to it because your mind can just expand.
Sure is.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
There used to be a therapist. I'll probably have to find who it was, but he would get his clients and he would just he would have a black curtain, I think, between the two of them. It's almost like a confession box, and they would just speak. But they could be they could expand their mind so much more because they couldn't see. Because man, body language, and especially facially, I think if you offend someone, or even if you say something and person get lights up, you're like, they like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's just playing on things. But I think that's what it is in the car.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. I think so. But I kind of think that the more of you are, when you start to speak to people, they can't judge or make any sort of assumption. I think that's why when you're actually speaking to someone and you look them in the eye, you're not giving them a chance to go, because they know they're looking at you.
Yeah, of course.
They're waiting for your response.
Eye contact is so important, man. And there's actually, I came across this rule. I think it's called the 70. I don't know why it's called the 70-50 rule, but there's a good amount of eye contact that you should hold. Not too intensely, not enough where you don't feel connected with someone. But it's like every so often, I'm even doing it right now, but kind of looking as I'm talking. I'm not necessarily looking.
Because you need to articulate what's going on.
Yeah, you're looking directly at someone. You're kind of just, you're not in your head necessarily, but you are. When you look, I'm doing it as I say it. Like I'm looking around the room to like you said, to articulate the thoughts a small bit more. Gives you space to do it.
And that's fine. Like that's healthy. That's a good thing.
It is.
Because you could come up with a thought and you're out there, you're looking for it. It's there. You can see it.
Yeah.
All right, I have it. Okay, and now I'm back.
There, you just done
you
it
know
there.
what I mean?
And as you were doing it, you reminded me of Pearson because he does this with his fingers. He's like looking at his hand and he's doing. You ever see him do that? He's like dwindling here, but it's great because he's like a magician. He's like gathering his thoughts, and then he'll present them to you as like, here's the delivery. Now I'm back, or now this is like the gift I'm about to give you.
If you look at Steve Jobs and any of the big speeches he's given, like he kind of like sits back and listens to the question, and he needs to figure out what he's gonna say, because no one has a straight up answer for everything.
It's not prepared.
It's not prepared. So if someone asks you something, it's okay to kind of think about what you've just been asked, like, because if you try and rush an answer or try and say the right thing all the time, you're not going to give your fully truthful answer because you're trying to say it really quick and you're trying to seem smart, like you know everything. Like, it's okay to just kind of go, wait, what did he just ask me? Okay, yeah, right, okay, deadly, cool.
And there's power to that.
There is.
Because you actually taught me that lesson. You were a great lesson a couple of weeks ago, man. We were in the car together having a great conversation.
There we go.
And you were like, sometimes, and I love feedback because I don't necessarily see it myself. But if someone gives me feedback, I'm like, they see something that I'm not seeing in myself. And I appreciate it because a lot of people will just feed you shite the whole time. Oh, you're great.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm not learning from that.
Yeah.
But if someone gives you some constructive feedback and you're not just, I thank you for that. Thank you for that because I was like, I can conduct myself much better. Not just in conversations we have, but in conversations I have with other people. Give things space, lean back, take a second. And I remember that day we spoke in the car, a couple of weeks back, like I mentioned. Your use of silence in between answering questions, I was like, this man, there's power to that. You're not just thinking about your thoughts, but you leave me more intrigued by just being quiet for however long. And it could be anywhere between, say, 10 to 25 seconds. And then you'll deliver something. And I'm hooked automatically because the anticipation to hear what you're going to say has me more intrigued in the conversation than I would normally be. Which is beautiful, man.
Yeah,
Which is beautiful. I really,
Thank you.
I said that at the time. I did appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney, we're now in 2025.
2025, what a year, hey, what a
big
year.
year ahead, man. Are you excited about it, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But like that's all okay, you know. Like it's okay to be scared. It's okay to.
Because you're about to take a leap.
Yeah.
To give people a bit of context.
Yeah, about to embark on a journey that's gonna be tough, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be tested. My will be tested. My discipline will be tested. My staying true to what I said I was gonna do is gonna be tested. So yeah, it's a. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough.
Exciting times ahead, man.
Exciting
times. I also think like there's nothing to prove in life if you're never testing yourself. And what you're about to do, and you will definitely get into it because it's one of your principles, how to live a better life in 2025 or achieve what I would call almost personal development, personal growth, is you're embarking on a journey over to Canada to pursue your career in acting, which is something I admire so much because you're really, like Peterson talks about, he often talks about finding a journey or exploration in life, and you're truly pursuing that in your actions, and you're a very disciplined guy. So whatever happens, and I like what you said there as well. There's hardship along the way. Paths they're not meant to be straightforward at all. You're meant to test your resolve. You're meant to test your character, and you will be tested. But I feel when them tests come for you, you're a man that is very much prepared for what's going to come his way.
I think to a certain extent, yeah. I've adopted certain disciplines and certain routine that has been hard to kind of like obtain. The routine I have, the disciplines I have, they weren't just I woke up one day and I had them. I kind of had to figure them out over a long period of time. And now that I have that skill set, it's like, okay, I'm prepared to a certain level. I'm never going to be 100% prepared. But if I don't take that leap, I'll never know. I'll never see my true potential because I have a plan and I want to execute. That's
execute regardless. And it's coming your way. And I think you like everything that you've done has prepared you for this moment where you're going to take off now in January. You put in, you're dedicated, guy.
Yeah, I have to.
You're dedicated. You're really going after, and I think that's, I've said to you time and time again, what I really like about what you're doing, your vision for your life is very clear. You've got great clarity. And there's a great quote actually here in the Bible, and it's without a vision, the people perish. Your vision, your sense of direction, your path that you've laid out for yourself is crystal clear. Like you've said on this podcast, well, you're going to win a Golden Globe one day.
Yeah, no, that's...
You'll have to come back on with it at some stage.
Yeah, sure. I'll put it right here beside me.
And the thing is, though, but you know where you're going, but you've as well spent a lot of time by yourself to figure out this path, and it hasn't been easy for you to get here. So it's great to witness firsthand. I've said this to you many times before. It's great to be your friend first off, but to witness your growth and development to where you're going right now, because it's something special. And you're embarking on, who knows what happens in Canada, but I would assume a lot of greatness will come from reinventing yourself over there. Like it's a completely clean slate. It's a blank canvas, should I say. But listen, we're here for a reason, obviously.
We sure are.
We are going to discuss.
Thank you for those words.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well deserved as well. We're here to discuss the final 5 because we couldn't cover them in the previous podcast. So I said we've roughly about an hour and 50 minutes to cover the last 5, which are something that we both do ourselves. And like I kind of mentioned before, all these principles are to help people grow and develop themselves, because I think that the greatest project that we can ever work on is ourselves. And it comes in many forms, not just physical, mental, career, spiritual, relationships, whatever it might be, but just continuously developing and striving for growth in life.
Something that you just said there just struck a nerve about, we're building ourselves, Sometimes artists, they're so caught up on the canvas and trying to get the perfect stroke, trying to get the perfect circle, the perfect whatever it is, that they kind of forget to take a step back and actually look at what you've done to date. Look at the masterpiece you've put on the canvas, what you've made out of clay, what you've built yourself. It is important to, every now and again, take a step back and go, wow.
I've come quite far.
I've come quite far. You know, that is very, very important, because you need to find the philosopher's stone in what you're doing. You know, you need to find that spark of encouragement when there is nothing. And I've found through just taking a step back and going, you've come a pretty long way, fella. You know,
you've noticed that growth in yourself.
And especially over the last while, especially with my training and in terms of my physique. I'm going to say the last 10 weeks have probably been the biggest kind of gratifying phase for me.
Why is that?
I think it's just because I took that step back and I said, I was getting my training was kind of starting to plateau and I was lacking spark. And I think that was due to the shoulder injury that I'm carrying at the moment. And it kind of gave me a moment of like, hang on a sec, let's stop thinking all this negativity. You can't train. Oh, what way am I going to adjust my diet? What way am I going to adjust my training? Oh my, this routine is so good. I have it down. It's all going haywire. But I kind of just took a breath, stood back and said, the work you've put in over the last 3 years is not going to be ruined overnight. Take a step back and look at yourself. Look at how fit you've gotten. Look at how strong you've gotten, not just physically, but mentally as well. You can't deny yourself that. Don't deny yourself the philosopher's stone to come across really humble. It's okay to turn around and say, yeah, I'm doing better than most.
Yeah, and we talked about before we came on air is the sense of pride having yourself.
Yeah.
And not to, extend that too far, like you mentioned, J. Cole had a great line, which was...
Oh, pride is the devil.
It can be the devil. I definitely believe that. But I think also there is some sense, you can let me know your own thoughts on this, but there is some sense of having pride in yourself. And you would come across as a guy, I could just tell by your physique and knowing you and how you behave and how you act and how you think, you're a guy that's proud of what he's built of himself. Because like you mentioned, we're all like clay. We're like marble. We got to sculpt ourselves, not just physically, but mentally, intellectually, spiritually, every sense. It's a great thing about being a man is like we can make something of ourselves. You know what I mean? We can create something from ourselves, but we got to put in the work. The most important element. Like it's great talking about this stuff, but if you're not willing to put in the work, you're just fooling yourself at the end of the day. That's how it is. But listen, bro, we're going to get into the first one because we're 10 minutes in already. Okay. But love the conversation. Love the conversation. But definitely a way to keep your health in check going into the new year, or going into this year, should I say, being 2025, is to sweat it out and hit the sauna more. And like I mentioned previously, our friendship, our relationship has built in the sauna many great conversations, many DMCs, as they call it, deep, meaningful conversations. They've been absolutely beautiful, bro, for many reasons. But you're a very regular sauna user. I don't know if that came out right. But you're in there about 3-4 times a week on average. What is the main thing that you love from a personal standpoint? Or is there any one thing in particular? Or maybe there are multiple things that you love. And obviously shout out to the Sea Sauna in Portrane.
Absolutely. That's I think that's the most important thing, is to give the people there a bit of recognition, you know, and I'll make this incredibly brief, because it's not just the sauna up there that's why I do it. It's the people.
It's the people, yeah. Community, sense of community.
Sense of community, but Ellen, who works up there, is like she has a heart of gold, you know. She is honestly.
She is amazing. I know I didn't think the conversation was going this way, but Ellen is absolutely amazing.
Man, she's incredible.
The job she does is incredible. And there's actually still a side note, because I was actually speaking to her. I wasn't planning on putting this in, Ellen, by the way.
You're in now.
We were talking about energy. She has incredible energy.
It's fantastic.
She's really worked on herself as well. But she's got this lightness about herself. And she made a really good point, because we were, this last week I was in the sauna, got talking to her afterwards. And as we go through life, our energy tends to get heavier and heavier due to stress, responsibilities of life, day-to-day living, just how life goes. The older you get, the more stressed you become. It tends to be the case. It's a natural pattern that we see in many, many people as they get older. She's very much into her spiritual side. Breath work, Reiki.
Yeah.
She does all this, which is great. And all these practices make your energy lighter. Like I've found with meditation especially, that doing that practice has made my energy much lighter. I don't carry as much baggage. I'm better able to control my stress as well for many different reasons. But the lightness of someone, and she has that down to a T.
She really does.
Which is incredible. And she's like the mother, I'd almost call up there. She's without a doubt. She mothers everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, shout out to Evan.
Yeah, that's what. Just before I get into it, there, it's. I mean, like I've had conversation with her that have completely altered my thinking, my vision, my way of living.
Yeah.
So, although the sauna is fantastic, just it's the people up there that
make him.
That really, really make it. And I'm going to be forever grateful. No matter what journey I go on, they will always have a very special place in my heart.
That's beautiful.
Without a doubt.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I don't think it would be a biased opinion to say it is the best sauna in Dublin.
It's
hands
honest,
down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I agree.
Right next to the sea as well. It can't beat it.
Right next.
But
yes.
For you anyway, obviously the people that are there, for the actual sauna experience itself, is there anything you're taking away from it? Because look, you understand health, you're in there quite regularly, like I mentioned, 3 or 4 times a week. Your skin is amazing. Like you look like a very healthy, vibrant looking guy. What else do you take away from it? Is there any other element? I know obviously the health side of it. We've heard of the health benefits over and over again. It reduces your mortality rate. Reduces, your chance of having a heart attack. Blood flow is increased. Yeah. Joints are, feel better, more fluid as well. But what else do you take away from it?
I'd be a very observant person. And when you go fairly regularly at very similar times all the time, people who come in who are new to it, who kind of start showing up for 4 weeks at a time, 6 weeks at a time, because I'm so observant, I notice them kind of change.
Oh yeah? In what sense?
In terms of like their attitude towards the sauna. Like at the start they'd be very like, nah, this wouldn't be for me, this isn't, and then next thing you know, 3 weeks in and they're like, jeez, this is fantastic. You actually start to see a spark in them again. Their whole kind of their sauna ethos, if you'd like to call it, changes.
I like that.
A lot of people kind of realize, I can actually come here and just sit with my thoughts for a while. I can just come here without a phone, without having someone in my ear, and just disassociate for a while and just be present and embark on a struggle, because it can be hard in the sauna, you're in there for 45 minutes to an hour, and once you kind of get into the past half an hour and it's up at 100 degrees sometimes, it's like, this is a bit of a battle,
It is. It's a mental battle. Yeah.
It is. And if you're conversating with someone in a respectful way because you're trying to be courtesy of other people, you kind of drop barriers and you kind of automatically start speaking about things you wouldn't normally speak about, and you just feel so lighter after it.
The conversation is so fluid in there.
It's crazy.
And I like what you said there. I think there's some element of when you're in the sauna and the heat is having its effect on you, it almost reduces this, I would say, it's like this kind of self-consciousness we'd have if we were outside the sauna. So you're outside the sauna, you're like almost hyper aware of yourself talking, but when you're in the sauna and you're under that stress of the heat, because you're under that stress, it takes you out of your own head and into the conversation a bit more, and you're no longer thinking, how am I conducting myself? I think it's amazing. And you mentioned connection there, or maybe did you mention connection? Maybe I just made that up. There's an element of connection when you're talking to someone in the sauna.
Okay.
Like the biggest thing, you mentioned presence, sorry, that's what I meant to say. You mentioned presence. People are more present, and it's the biggest thing ever, because there's no phones. It's the last place we can go, I think on the planet now, where you go in and nobody's on their phone. People actually want to speak to each other. Yeah. And that's why there's depth of connection. And like I mentioned, our friendship has grown in the season.
Massively, man.
And that's why, we are in a position today to even be talking to each other the way we do. Conversation's always open, so fluid, it's depth, it's connection, it's beautiful. It developed in the sauna because we're no longer distracted. We spoke to each other and we spoke about deep things. That's how it is. But you mentioned community there. Is there any other element that you enjoy about the sauna? Have you gone? Actually, side note, any other saunas you've gone to? Or has it just been the sea sauna?
It's just been the sea sauna.
Wow, you're loyal,
Yeah,
devoted, should I say?
yeah,
Devoted.
So this was their 3rd year, and yeah, I haven't ventured out to any of the other ones.
That's interesting.
And do you know what? I'd actually feel disgusted in myself if I did.
If you did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. In the last month, I've went to the Helio sauna out
Okay.
of Dundrum. Went on a cheeky day out there, and then the other one I went to the Hot Box sauna, which is a cracking spot actually. But
Nothing
still,
like the sea sauna.
the sea sauna has a place in my heart.
Yeah,
I'm a
it does.
Portrane man, so
Yeah.
it'll have to. But yeah, I love what you said there, man. Presence and connection that happens in there.
Definitely.
Depth of conversation.
There's also, if you are fortunate enough, I'm not saying I like this all the time, but sometimes you go into the sauna and there's very little people there, and you could hear a pin drop. You know,
Silence.
it is dead silent,
Which is nice as well.
which is nice. And I find that's probably the hardest time in the sauna, because the only thing that's going on is like this is quite hot. You know, you're sitting in there and oh jeez, I don't think I'll last 12, 15 minutes. You know, and your mind starts kind of spiraling a little, you know.
It does, doesn't it?
But you kind of find out certain things about yourself. You know, if you go into the sauna and just, you know, you want to be by yourself and disassociate, and you kind of go, geez, I've had a bit of a good week this week, haven't I? And next thing you know, you're off in a little different world in your own head. And, you know, you kind of, oh geez, I got that done this week. Oh, I done that too. Oh Jesus, this is great, isn't it? You know, you're kind of changing your whole perspective, rather than being like, oh geez, this is a struggle, this is hard, going, geez, I wonder what I've done this week.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of
Thought spirals almost.
yeah, and before you know it, your time is up, and you're like, I feel absolutely amazing.
And that's the thing. It's such a natural high afterwards.
Yeah, like
With a side effect, though, I don't know if you've got this. You've definitely got it before, but the sauna brain effect.
there's the sauna brain is a real thing. If you try and string a sentence together, sometimes
There's words missing.
there's words missing. It's just a blur.
I think is a lack of hydration,
I don't know
because
really.
you're sweating excessively. And what I love, of course, you know, the main feature of the sauna is to sweat.
Yes,
How healthy it is
Incredible.
to use your
Incredible.
lymphatic system, which
Yeah.
is trying to get all the garbage out of your body. Perspiration, sweat.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's a great thing. But what was the point? I've gone on a tangent there. I was gone on a thought spiral. What was I mentioning? Sweating, of course, that happened in the sauna. What did you say before that? Thoughts in your own head.
yeah,
So-
and the sauna brain.
Oh, the sauna brain. Yeah. I just think it's because you're sweating so much, you're losing too much fluid, that it obviously affects your brain.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
It's a funny one, because like there's times I'd go through a 2-liter bottle of water, and I'd still come out and I'd be like,
Need some more. I actually came across a reel. I think it was only this week. I should have saved it to make a reference to it today. But the guy was talking about saunas, right? Some sauna specialist. And he was saying not to actually bring water in, because the reason for it affects some growth hormone when you're drinking during the sauna.
really?
Yeah. I'll have to find it for you and send it
Yeah,
over
yeah.
to you, or even make reference in this video, just to give a bit of context to it. But it was an interesting point. So the last time I went in and didn't bring water, I actually was fine. It's weird. You
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
Maybe some days you are a bit parched already going in. But what else to mention about the sauna? Any other... actually, a good thing. What's your recommendation in regards to time slots and hopping in the cold shower?
Oh,
Because you don't do 45 minutes straight through. I know you probably
no,
have.
no. There's on a Sunday I would, because on a Sunday I'll get into the sea for 20 minutes beforehand. So
If anyone knows the sea in Ireland this time of year, it is Baltic. Baltic beyond belief, man. It is cold this time of year.
it's cold.
Are you shivering coming out of the water? Like 20 minutes is excessive, man.
You kind of
You-
when you hit the first 6 minutes, I have found is hell.
Yeah.
Like that's a tough old stint.
Your body's telling you to get out.
Your body is saying, I don't want to be here. Your mind is saying, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to completely disassociate, just not listen to that.
Yeah.
And then from like 7 minutes to 14 or 16 minutes, you kind of get into like a meditative state.
Mm.
So you kind of, I like to literally pick a point in the horizon
And just focus.
on it. Sometimes I close my eyes, and if I find myself getting into a shiver, I'll just start hyperventilating myself, because whatever that does for me, it works.
Yeah.
It lets me take control of my body again.
Wow.
Because I'm hyperventilating myself rather than the water hyperventilating me, and I can kind of calm myself down again. And great, okay, we're cool, we're fine, we're safe.
You're regulating yourself.
Regulating myself.
Yeah.
But from 17 to 20, oh God, that is
so consistent, man.
that's tough. That's hard.
So you're needing this on afterwards.
I see, like I sometimes struggle to walk up the steps.
Really? Yeah.
I'm holding on.
And do you
to
need
the
a break
rail.
then during
The sauna?
Yeah.
No,
You just straight
I
through.
can go straight through for 45.
Okay. If someone was listening to this and they haven't yet experienced the sauna or are not currently doing maybe the sauna on a regular basis.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No, you wouldn't recommend that.
No.
But say some first timer, their 45-minute session, play it by ear, see how they feel, or what would you recommend?
I'd kind of listen to the body.
Okay, great advice.
Listen to your body, because your body tells you everything you need to know. Yes, there is, when you come to a point and you are at a better stage than other people and your body's like, oh, I don't like this, it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
We're staying here. We can deal with this. But somebody new who doesn't exactly have that discipline of the mind to be like, I know when it's time to get out.
Yeah. I think when you start to feel somewhat dizzy.
Yeah, even before then, like.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, try get out before then.
It's all down to the individual. I believe anyway. You can't turn around and tell someone going, you have to stay in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
And you're scooping them up off the floor because
it might be dangerous.
they're after passing out. You know.
Yeah.
Even getting into the sea for 20 minutes. I had a really bad scare last Christmas. You know, a very, very bad scare.
Oh yeah.
I completely forgot that I had no sauna to go into. I was out in the water for 20 minutes, Christmas morning. The night before, I had a couple of drinks, nothing too excessive. I was sober essentially, and my body started to shut down. You know.
And what happened? I remember you.
I got up to the car. I put on my clothes, which was a struggle, and I actually felt warm. My body felt warm, but I couldn't control the shaking. The shivers. That was the worst it's ever been. And I sat in my car, turned on the heat. It wasn't getting any better.
Yeah.
I kind of started to get like foggy kind of vision, like black spots and stuff. Got home straight into the shower. I was in the shower for about half an hour with the heating on full, just trying to heat myself up. And a couple of days later, I started getting like palpitations in my chest. And I kind of, right, okay, I need to get this looked at. Went to the doctor and stuff, and he said, yeah, you were going into cardiac arrest and hypothermia was setting in.
So that's excessive. So it's obviously, in that case, your body's under too much stress.
Way too much stress.
And you didn't have the outlet of the sauna that day.
No.
So there is an element to be cautious.
There is a very fine line
Yeah.
between being reasonable and then being stupid. And that was a moment of stupidity.
Obviously, it was a lapse in concentration because the sauna was closed that day.
Yeah.
You normally have that there.
Yeah.
And
But,
you are a guy that does push it to the limit.
Yeah, I try to.
But there is an element to tame it back. Anyway, look, the point being, you cannot beat the sauna.
No, it is.
And especially the sea sauna in Portrane. So get yourself down there. We're going to move swiftly on, bro. You are going to hit us with another principle. Have a crack in 2025.
Yeah, so I think this is a huge one for. I think it's a huge one for young guys.
Okay.
Because I think the sooner you can kind of get onto this, the better it's going to be for you when you hit 25, 26, 27 years of age. Which is take responsibility and be accountable. Right?
God, that's so important.
I was kind of thinking about this for a while, and it's like, what is it to be responsible? You know, and it's kind of take on something that you want to do that you know is going to better yourself and better the people around you. You know, it's almost like a job you have to do.
Because it is your responsibility.
Because it is your responsibility, you know?
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up and you're being told to clean your room, and Peterson, who we're both a huge fan of, speaks about cleaning your room. And I had this conversation with someone recently on that, and this lady said that, oh, the reason you were told that is because your mother didn't want to do it. She wanted you to do it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Okay, cool. But when Peterson dissected that, it was almost as if like the penny dropped when he says, get up and clean your room. Put your area in order.
Get your house in order, yeah.
Get your house in order. Get your garden in order. Clean your room. Make your bed. It was almost like well, okay, I'll see what this is about. So I decided to take responsibility on keeping my room clean, making my bed. I slept in it, I make it. And that kind of, over a period of 6 months, just kind of had a ripple effect into other things. I started to, all of a sudden, my desk was well organised. I knew where my journal was, my computer. I knew where things were. If I needed pens or anything, if I needed copies, paper, I knew exactly where everything was. So everything kind of just became like this flow.
System was on.
It was a system.
Yeah.
And it was from that one responsibility of just making my bed and cleaning my room. And I kind of now have that in everything. When I'm studying scripts on my laptop, I have a folder, I know where that is, that's organised. When I'm writing scripts, I know where this script is, I know where that one is. I know it's just taking on the responsibility of being organised.
I absolutely love that. Because I would say in your case as well, maybe life always hasn't been that way.
No, definitely not.
This is something that came at a later stage. And I think the teachings of Peterson are very, very important. But I also think responsibility, I've heard it rephrased before, but your responsibility is your ability to respond. Right? And when you're in a position where you're able to respond to things and you're responsible for things, it's empowering as a man. It's so empowering to have responsibility of your situation, to have responsibility of yourself as well, responsibility of the food you eat. You're responsible for the money in your bank account. You're responsible for showing up as an individual that demands the best of himself, that leads other people. And I think when you become responsible for yourself and you get to the point where like you've got to do the actions each and every day to be responsible, you can then help other people as well. You can help your family. You can help your friends because they can see, I can rely on this guy. Why can I rely on him? Because he's responsible. I've got to trust in him. The more you are responsible for yourself, the more trust you'll have in yourself as well.
Definitely, yeah.
So it's a knock-on effect, and I think you made a great point there. This point will hit home, and I hope it does with young guys especially, because I think the earlier you get in life as well, I think it'll help you mature, which is very, very important. The more responsible you are, it'll help you mature as a man. And there's something I learned recently is like maturity doesn't come with age. I think maturity actually comes with responsibility for who you are. Sorry, for yourself, should I say. It doesn't matter. You can have a 40-year-old man who's irresponsible, who's immature.
I know a few of them.
Yeah, like they're lacking that, like they're lacking that control of themselves. But you can have a young guy that's got his shit in order. He's in the gym. He's earning good money. He's working on his purpose. He's living true to himself. He's taking care of himself. He's responsible. It doesn't matter about age. It matters, sorry, maturity in this point. It matters about how responsible that you are. And that's something I came across recently.
And I think if you're a young guy and you know you're getting a part-time job or whatever, and I think if you show up to a part-time job, or maybe even it's a full-time job, and you have a certain uniform you have to wear, if that uniform isn't in order, you're not a responsible person. And please take that lightly. I don't mean you're not under stress at home or in life. Present yourself well when you go to work. If you have to wear a pair of slacks and a shirt, tuck the shirt in and wear a belt. Show up, look respectable,
look professional. Yeah.
People will instantly look at you differently when you if your job requires you to dress somewhat way well and you go an extra step, everyone will notice that.
But you're constantly presenting yourself to the world as well. Like every time you walk in a room or go to a new place or you're going out for dinner, you're presenting yourself to the world. How do you want people to perceive you? It's very, very important. Have a sense of pride in who you are by how you dress and how you conduct yourself and how you look as well. Because I know right now, we've trained in the gym many times. If you were to take your top off, people would automatically be impressed. Now, I'm not going to ask him right now. Might have to get some training footage to go over this. But like, you're in incredible shape, man, because you took responsibility for your health and your fitness, and you're walking example. And especially men, you know, we look at other men, and you'll make a split second judgment on them based on how they look. If I look at you, I know this guy's disciplined. He's going to work hard. He's dedicated. He's responsible. He'll show up. You know, all these characteristics that we admire in people, virtues as you would call them.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy has it because he is responsible for himself.
Yep.
So important. You got to be responsible for absolutely everything in your life because it's empowering. And then the opposite of that, if you're not responsible, you're playing the victim. Oh, it's their fault. It's outside my control. What are you on about? It's outside your control. You can make a difference right now if you just grab your own life by the balls and take full responsibility for it and lead yourself down a better path. Like, think of you become responsible where it's leading you to now. Like you talk about scripts, like you're really pursuing a purpose and passion that you have in life, or something that you feel it's almost a vocation you would call. Is it? Would you call it a vocation, like the acting? Not to get too lost down that path.
I would. I'd call it a purpose.
Purpose, yeah, or purpose of calling. Because you got responsible for all these other areas in your life beforehand, it's now got you in a position to be where you are right now.
Definitely.
Which is so powerful. But
but just on that there,
go for it.
If you're trying to change your life, and we all have the temptation to give in to we all have the temptation to give in to temptation. So something comes along and, you know, you got to train tomorrow, but you don't want to miss a night out with the lads or whatever. You know, you kind of have to be accountable for your actions too. If you slack off, you say, listen, January's coming around, new year, new me. It's like, all right, hold yourself accountable for it though. Don't turn around and say, oh, well, I had this in January, I had this come up, and it's like, well, you had a choice and you made a choice. Hold yourself responsible for whatever it is you want to do. You know, you have to accept where you're going wrong and not pointing the finger or saying, as I said, it was just January was a busy year, you know, I wasn't motivated. It's like, I know exactly how that feels, but it's you.
And
you
like,
had the decision, you had the choice to make.
And it's so easy to point that finger and blame someone else.
So easy.
But it's much harder to point it back at yourself and, like, at the end of the day, it's your actions. It's your behaviour that matters. And that behaviour will lead you down a path of greatness, or it could lead you completely astray and down a path of complete and utter irresponsibility. Because that's the opposite.
Yeah. I think it's fear that people don't want to put the blame on themselves. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can accept that I'm wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Like, what is wrong with being wrong? Like, I'm not going to be right my entire life. You know, I'm not going to make the right decision every single time.
But you take responsibility.
But I'll take responsibility for the decision I make. You know, like me going to Canada, I don't, deep down in my heart, in my soul, this is going to work out. This has to happen. I can't go back to the life as an electrician working on sites. I can't do that. That's not an option for me. But I have to take responsibility that I'm going on this journey. I have to stay true to that.
Yeah.
If I stray away, if I give in to temptation, I have to hold myself accountable. I can't turn around and say, I got over there and it was difficult and this happened. It's like, I'm going over there to do a job. I have a mission that I want to execute. I have to hold me accountable for every decision I make as soon as I step foot in Canada.
And not just accountable. You'll hold yourself to a very high standard.
I have to.
And you mentioned mission focused as well. Like, that is powerful. Even the words you're using, which are creating reality at the same time, is like, you're not going to let anything stand in your way. Everything comes back on you. You're responsible for every action that you have going forward in the future. And you'll also be responsible that night when your name gets called out and you go up to receive the Golden Globe.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
everything comes back on you. And if you can almost, and this is why I keep going back to vision, you've got a clear vision of what that is. So you being responsible is almost like, of course, like how else would it be but you be responsible for all your actions?
Yeah, exactly. Like what else are you going to do? Are you just going to sit around and say, listen, I could have made it, but what do you mean but?
Yeah.
What do you mean you could have made it, but? You could have made it, but you chose not to. It was your decision. I know there are certain circumstances that come into play in certain people's lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if you're an everyday Joe, like I am, I'm no nothing special.
You're making something of yourself.
I wasn't given talents, and I'm just like you. We're just regular people who have chosen to not give in to settling and comfort. We want to be somebody. We want to strive for something.
Yeah.
Hold yourself accountable and responsible for every single thing that you do in your life. And you cannot go wrong. You will start to learn so much about you. You will learn so much about the people around you, what they're doing. And you will start to find your direction in life. Nothing else.
And great things can come from that. Like when you take utter responsibility for your own life and you hold yourself accountable to whatever standards they might be for you. Like you mentioned there, like it's very hard not to succeed in that case.
Yeah.
Like you're setting yourself up for success. Like if you have, and a great thing that you mentioned there as well, you have got it, and what I can tell from you as well, you've got a positive, optimistic mindset, which is something people have to work on. You're not just given these things in life. Like I mentioned before, every man has got to work and develop himself, and every woman too as well, if they're into self-development and growth of themselves, is you've got to work on yourself. What it comes back to at the end of the day is responsibility and accountability for who you are. But it's very well said. For you, even just from like a general sense in your own life, what are some acts of responsibility that you implemented when you were on this journey to develop yourself? Because, there was one stage you were out of shape and not pursuing a career in acting.
Yeah.
So, what did you have to do, even in that scenario, in that moment that, brought you down a path of becoming more responsible? What were the acts?
So I got a bit riled up there, so I did, sorry.
Go on, man, it's good. I love the passion.
So one thing I took responsibility for was the food I was putting into my body, for example. Like, that's completely on me.
And that's your energy.
Like, that's my source of energy. That's fuel for the body and mind. And it's like, who can I blame for me eating that pizza?
For the shape I'm in.
Who can I blame? I can't blame anyone for force feeding me a Chinese or a share pack of Doritos or 2 cans of Coke.
That's on you.
That's on me.
Yeah.
I was the one that consumed them. A can of Red Bull, a can of Monster. It's like, who's doing this? Who is the guy that's doing this? It's me. That's on me.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, it was like, okay, right, I have a problem here.
Yeah.
I have no self-control. I have to take responsibility for what I have control over.
Yeah.
I didn't have control over my mind, because my mind was given into the temptation to eat the pizza, to eat the Chinese, to eat the crisps, to drink the fizzy drinks.
To be lazy, to watch Netflix.
To be lazy, to sit around and watch TV, to not move, to go to work and come home and do nothing.
And isn't this such a coincidence when you mastered the art of responsibility, for just an example there with the food you eat and the behaviour that led to that now you are becoming responsible for the outcomes of your future.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
That is scary, but it's also like, you're like, I keep going back, but your path is very, like, it's not, I wouldn't say clearly laid out, but you know the direction you're going in.
Yeah.
But because you became responsible in multiple domains, whether it's the energy you get from food, whether it's the thoughts and ideas you absorb from podcasts or books, whether it's the responsibility of writing out your scripts or improving your acting, it's like you've morphed yourself into this position now where you're looking at your future going, of course I'm responsible for my future, but it's almost, I don't want to say predictable, because you don't necessarily know, you know where you're going, you know you're going to get there, but you don't know what's going to happen in between. But you are because you've been responsible for everything, your outcome seems to be much greater in life.
Yes. And I think it's down to like the micro responsibilities. You know what I mean? It's like the
This ties in so well, yeah.
the idea of the energy I consume, the food I consume. That was way before me wanting to go out and win a Golden Globe. That was way before that. You know? So taking responsibility for that and then going, oh, well, I'm carrying a lot of fat here. Okay, I need to take responsibility for my physical health now.
Your
okay,
fitness, yeah.
I need to get into training. I need to figure all that out again.
Yeah.
Then I took responsibility for that. And then it was, oh, I might try this acting thing, you know? There was other things before then, and I think I mentioned that before. But it was the responsibility then to go out and see about acting school or acting coaches or whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
And I took responsibility for that. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to kind of get into a class here and act in front of people live, which is something I was like so daunted about.
Fearful, yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah.
But I took responsibility for it and I got up and done it. Week in, week out, time and time again.
Do you know what I love about that? As you spoke about the kind of stages, you'd almost call it, you leveled up. So the responsibility for the food choices was then a leveling up for the responsibility for fitness, which was a leveling up for responsibility of going into acting. Was you become responsible there of yourself to stand on stage in front of people and overcome that fear and scarcity to level up again. So you see the way like it works? It's literally like a ladder. So every time you become more responsible, you get to level up yourself in life. So responsible for your health, then your fitness, then your career and your finances and your spiritual development and a career further down. And then the first play you do, the first, scene or movie. And then the more responsible you become, the greater level that you're going to reach in life. Does that make sense? Yeah. Just as you, because as you, no, the only reason why that popped into my head, man, is because as you were explaining, it made sense to me that like it was like 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. I was like, because he's responsible in this domain, he can level himself up. But it makes sense though, doesn't it?
I've never thought about it that way.
But that's
the
penny dropped on me as you were explaining yourself.
That's incredible, man.
If you imagine like a ladder, and then it's like, okay, you need to take the first step here, but what do I need to be responsible for to make the next step? And then it's just yeah.
Wow.
Just dawned on me there, but
thank you.
You have a good understanding of this already, though. I know I might have simplified it a small bit.
You did, and I've never vocalized it like that before. And once you said that was like a go you. You know?
Go you, man.
Go you. That's
But go you, actually, because that's what you're doing, you know what I mean?
That was a
That's the journey, man. That's the journey of responsibility. You level yourself up. Be responsible for everything, because responsibility breeds empowerment.
It does. It really does. And I'm not going to say I'm living proof, but as you've just put it there, it's like when people wonder how to level up, it's
be more responsible.
Take responsibility for your first step.
Yeah, and it is a heavy burden when you do take responsibility for yourself.
It is. At the start, I think so. Because at the start, I know for a fact a lot of people didn't understand what I was doing.
Portrane, yeah.
You know, they didn't. I don't think they took it as serious as I did. But once they actually saw the changes, what's a good example here? Your mom not having to come in and make your bed. Oh, geez, that's made. Next day, oh, geez, that's made. Right, yeah, he's taking responsibility. What's going on, you know? Not wanting to eat Chinese with the family, not wanting to get pizzas or go out for meals anymore. Jeez, what's going on? Like, he's sitting there and he's eating chicken, rice and veg 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Who does he think he is?
And he's in
You
the
know?
gym 5
And then
times
he's
a
in the
week.
gym 5 times a week.
He's in
and
the sea sauna.
what's he? He's acting.
Yeah.
This fella has lost his marbles.
Mm.
But then it got to a certain point where it's almost like they now see the vision. You know, they now kind of go,
You're becoming undeniable.
yeah,
You're becoming undeniable.
thank you.
That's literally it, because like you're living proof of it. Your actions. This is why actions always speak louder than words, man.
Mm.
Judge a person based on their actions, and you're a guy that lives and breathes responsibility of himself. A sovereign individual who's becoming independent and creating his own path for himself. Powerful place to be, man. Powerful.
I think it's very important. And
Mm.
I think if you are a young guy
Mm.
who's like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, when they first turned around and asked me, 18 years of age, oh, what are you going to do when you finish school?
Mm. Haven't a clue.
I don't know.
Yeah. Which is, the standard response.
And
I didn't
like,
know either.
that's like incredibly okay.
Mm.
Like, you've no idea how okay that is.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Mm. You're
But
18.
don't be an 18-year-old that sits in his room, plays video games, eats shit food,
Yeah.
has no responsibility, no even part-time job,
Mm.
because you're going to fall into a series of routines and time's going to start to tick.
Mm.
Time's going to pass.
That's such a great
know,
point, man.
and it's not even for young guys, it's young girls as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to fall into that routine of sitting at home scrolling through TikTok. You have your blind closed all the time. You're getting up at 2:00 in the day.
Yeah.
It's like, get up at a reasonable hour.
Mm.
Do something active. Go for a walk. Go to the gym. Go for a run. Do yoga. Do Pilates.
Mm. Take care of yourself.
Read a book. Stop sitting scrolling. Stop sitting playing video games. Get out into the world. Find out who you are. Discover yourself.
Meet new people, yeah.
Meet new people. Have new conversations.
Have a sense of adventure with your life as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
And you're living that right now, going over to Canada as well. But you make a good point there, because that contrast there of responsibility is to be irresponsible
That's
of yourself.
irresponsible. That's
like-
completely irresponsible.
You're not holding yourself to any sort of standard. And a great point that you made there, and it's something I kind of realised when I was around the age of 20, 23, where I started to not drink as much and get into the gym a small bit more and began to pick up my first book and stuff, is like these habits. I'm glad I'm developed. You can look back and like, I wish I had started sooner, but I started when I did.
You
right?
started when you did. You started though. That's the main thing. You started.
You started, yeah, and I did start. And the point being is like, that was 5 years ago, say when I was 22. It's like, you got to start developing habits at a younger age. Like, you need to develop yourself. Like, imagine who you could become if you got into self-development at the age of, 14, 15. And you weren't, like, I think one of the best things that young people can do nowadays is not drink. Just don't drink.
Yeah.
What a waste of fucking time that is, man.
It's torture.
Standing in a nightclub, just getting intoxicated.
Yep.
For what? To
Oh,
go.
but they're great stories though. They're great stories.
There's a time and a place to celebrate, don't get me wrong. But like, how often do you need to be celebrating when it's the middle of the week and you've achieved nothing?
Yes. Yep. I
Like,
agree.
there's a time. I think there's definitely a time and a place to celebrate life when you've achieved something.
Definitely.
And just getting into being responsible at a young age, I think, is important. And it'll help you. It'll help you mature as well. Anything else to add? That was a great lesson and principle to definitely live a better life in 2025, Darragh. But anything else?
No, I think
Covered it well.
I think we've covered that enough.
I like it, man. I like it.
Take responsibility for you, your actions, and your future.
Yeah. I like
Go.
that. Take responsibility for your future.
Yeah.
And that starts now.
It does start now.
And Pearson talks about this as well. There's you now, but there's also you in the future.
There is you. Like, that's it. Like, you're going to wake up tomorrow. Realistically, you're going to wake up tomorrow unless there is
Catastrophe.
So, you're going to be you for the next X amount of years. Hoping, touch wood, there's not a catastrophe.
Yeah.
So, why not start to be someone who you look up to? Why not start to be someone that when you're 30 years of age, someone's going to come to you and say, I need a bit of advice on how you got to where you got to, I need pointers. I need a little bit of direction. Start now and reap the rewards later on.
That's it.
You know?
Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. It's your future. No one else's.
And be proud of the person that you become in the process as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think it's so important as well. We're going to take a quick toilet break, and then we're going to bounce into number... Oh, we're beyond now. You've got one more. I've got two. This will be number 8. See you soon. Oh, I'm dying for the Jacks, bro. That water. Good flow.
Man, that was insane.
And now we're in, so... Once we keep it under 2 hours, we're all good. fingers crossed.
Yeah. Just while James is gone to the bathroom, if you are struggling to find your groove, find what you're looking to do, like that's okay. You know, it is a natural thing to do, especially if you're young. You know, if you're under the age of 23. Social media can be a very toxic place. It can mend your mind and soul. But just, you know, start something. And, you know, a year in, you might figure out that, okay, this isn't it. But through being disciplined in that, you'll start to take up certain habits, certain routines that will have a knock-on effect into whatever else you try. But don't start something and quit or give up. If you start something and you realise that's not for you, don't be afraid to move on and do something different, because that's a strength in itself, being able to say, okay, this wasn't for me, but I want to try this now. That's perfectly okay. We're humans. We're not going to get it right on the first run. Don't be afraid to say you got it wrong.
Love it.
Sorry, I was just
had a moment.
Yeah, I was just having a moment.
Good man, bro. Good man.
Just having a moment.
Express the mind, bro. Express the mind. I'm sure there's some wisdom in there. I look forward to listening to it back. We're going to move on to number 8.
Okay.
Right? And you can fill me in your thoughts on this, but a lesson or principle that has came to me this year is knowing who I don't want to be in life. So it's great knowing, you know, who you want to be and the future you and the success that's going to come with that. But what part of yourself, you know, like, do you know deep down you don't want to be? What are the actions and behaviors that don't align with the person that you are? And for me this year, it's kind of been the biggest, I would say almost lesson of the year, is giving up alcohol, because it's helped me in regards to momentum in life and health-wise and energetic standpoint. And I really value and appreciate waking up in the morning feeling fresh and ready for the day ahead. And I had to, you know, at some stage during the year, sit down and go, who do I not want to be? Like, what are the acts or things that I might associate with that don't align with who I am? Has there ever been anything for you, maybe even in the last year or maybe years gone by, that you're like, this doesn't align with the person that I now am, or this is what I don't want to be in life?
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to be an electrician.
Okay. So that profession's not for you.
That profession, it's not that it's not for me. It's, I kind of...
You're built for more.
I'm built for more. And I don't want to give more to that industry. That's not what I want to give my heart and soul to.
Yeah, I heard a great quote before, and this kind of resonates with what you're talking about there. It's like, you can't get better at something that you've no interest in. Like, you probably... maybe you could put more effort in, but you're like, I could put so much effort into the acting, which is like what I want to do. I know in my heart that's what I want to do. And you'll excel 10 times faster at being in a vehicle that is moving in the direction that you want to go in. Yeah,
on that, my attitude towards it is, I will still get up and go to work and work hard.
Because you're professional.
Because I'm professional and I'm responsible.
Love it. Ties it back in.
It ties back in. But not wanting to be an electrician isn't as if I just woke up one day and said, that's it, I don't want to go back to work. I had to restructure my values. Okay, why don't I want to be an electrician? Is it a dead end job? Is it something that you don't want to be on sites breaking your back for the next 40 years? Okay, let's see the people who are qualified 15 years ahead of you. Let's see where the position they're in. Do they have other options? Do they have other avenues, other incomes? Pay close attention to what's going on around you, because that will tell you a lot about
the future
of your trajectory in this industry. And I never really had the idea of like working for myself as an electrician and starting my own business, because it was never that thing. I never was like, yeah, this is it.
It was temporary.
It was at the time. No, at the time it wasn't temporary, because I didn't have that outlook on life.
Okay.
Of being able to strive. You know. So at the time it was like, grand, I'm gonna have a job. It's gonna give me a house. I'll be able to go on a holiday 2-3 times a year. I'll be able to support a family reasonably okay. But I was never gonna be, you know, being able to look around and go, oh, I might buy that car.
Yeah.
Oh, I might buy that car. And I'm not saying I'm doing it for material things. It's not that. It's just striving for more. Because I know with the acting, without a doubt, that kind of material life and money and stuff and fame, I know that will come as a byproduct of the work I'm putting in.
Yeah. But it's not what you're striving to do.
That's not what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
I'm striving for, I want to win a Golden Globe, but it's the person it takes
to become
that. The person it takes to win that. That's what I want.
That's literally it.
Whatever about cars, clothes, money, fame, if that comes, great.
Yeah. I think the key word you're mentioning there that sticks out in my mind and is so evident in who you are as a person is your ability, or what you're doing right now is you are striving for something.
Yeah.
You are on the pursuit of this huge goal, which is to win a Golden Globe, which is many years down the line. You could be talking, we don't know, 20 years. Who knows, right? We don't know the length of time. But you never felt, just going off what you just expressed there, is that you're ever striving in the role of being an electrician.
No, and I think that because I worked for...
But this is just, sorry, just to go across this is just about you. Someone else in maybe an electrician or whatever trade they're in might actually have that ability.
They might have that.
Yeah. This is just, obviously,
this is just
your
my,
own situation.
my own perspective on it.
And it can be different for other people.
It can be so different. There could be one other guy that I'm working with and he's like, no, I'm
going to make a business out of this.
I'm making a business out of this. I'm gonna be
fair play
the best electrician there is in this country.
Wish him the best, yeah.
You go right ahead, my friend.
Yeah.
You go right ahead. Don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah.
You know, show me that that's what you want. But like working for family it's great. It's incredible. I've learned a lot. But it's just not my thing.
It's not your path.
It's not my path. And I've learned so much from it. Like I've learned what showing up every day can do.
Yeah. Accountability,
responsibility. I have a very good qualification. I'll have it for life. But it doesn't excite me the way...
It doesn't give you life.
No, the way acting does. It doesn't it doesn't let me imagine these stories and characters and psyches and possibilities. For me, I kind of found it like a dead end place. You know?
So you knew the electrician, that gig, just wasn't for you. That's not who you want to become as an electrician long term.
I'd say I found out, I'm going to say, in my 3rd year.
Okay. As your apprentice? As
a 3rd year apprentice, I was kind of like, there has to be more.
Are you glad you stuck it out?
I'm very, very happy I stuck it out.
It's good to hear.
I'm very happy I stuck it out because I didn't want to... I wanted to use that as an example that I wasn't going to give up.
I love that, man.
I wanted to have that as a anchor to say, well, you didn't give up here, so why are you going to give up here? You know,
You stay determined.
Yeah, you got to this level. Okay, now you want to go to this level. So you didn't give up here. So why would you give up here?
And the thing is, as well, it'd be irresponsible of you just to pack it in.
It would be like if I did.
Because you need finances to live.
You do. But it's finances. It did fund the classes, the 1-to-1 classes.
Your health, your fitness.
My health, my fitness, my food. It funded my trainer that I had at the time. It basically allowed me to be able to make certain shifts to shift the trajectory of my life.
Yeah, I came across another reel. Joe Rogan was talking about it, and he talks, even if you're working a shitty job you don't enjoy, save up the money to give yourself enough of a run to pursue something you want to do. And that's what you're doing right now. You're literally living that. You know what I mean? And it's so, anyone can do it. Yeah, anyone can do it. I think you definitely need finances, though. It's the most important thing.
And I think what you just said there about anyone can do it. I know for a fact there's certain people that are going to say, who do those lads think they are, saying anyone can do it, when we don't have mansions or Ferraris or this material life. It's like, yeah, we may not have it, but we're striving.
Yeah.
You know, we're moving in a way that...
It's going to... In the future, we expect it to happen.
In the future, we expect it to happen, but it's not going to be like...
Given to us.
Yeah.
We talked about before we got going, like, having a great physique is like, it's something that's earned in life. You know you're going to put the work in to earn these luxuries of life, to have this opulence, I think it's the word, but it's like health or wealth and like riches and expenses. It's going to come your way because you know you're going to work for it. You know you'll put the work in. Just going back to the point, though, knowing what you don't want to be. Obviously, that's good. That's a great example.
Yes.
No. You gave a great example. No, I was very impressed by it as well. Has there been anything this year, or sorry, in the year previous, that you kind of got rid of? Was there any parts of yourself you took away, or habits you start doing, or behaviors you cut back on that you may have been doing before?
Yeah, I stopped drinking as much. Like
how have you found that?
Like I have no problem going 5-6 months at a time without drinking.
Yeah. Because you know it doesn't add to your life.
I know it doesn't. I get no value from it.
Yeah.
I do.
That's it.
I do think, and I think we did mention this, that there is a time and a place for celebration, and you're in the company of certain people, and yes, you let the hair down and you have a couple of drinks. That's completely fine. I am all for that, absolutely. But this whole thing of like, you know, you're looking and it's like Thursday and you're like, oh, I can't wait to go out on Friday and Saturday. It's like, is that like...
Sit with that.
Is that like where your life is going? Yeah. That you're literally living for a Friday and a Saturday?
And I feel for people like that, man, because it just shows there's clearly a lack of ambition in life, and it's just an easy escape.
Yeah.
Because if you can numb the pain and have the excitement of, you know, the drink involved, the alcohol is flowing, things are a bit more exciting, and you're not thinking about things that you probably should address deep down, just face it a small bit more. And I keep mentioning momentum, and you've definitely got good momentum going in your own life. I'm a witness to that. This year, from a personal standpoint, I was like, I need to just cut out the drinking. Like, it was never excessive, but it was maybe just 5 or 6 drinks here every 1 to 2 months, or every 1 to 2, whenever, like 6 to 8 weeks, let's say. And then it just set me back a half week, and that would just creep in a small bit. And then I've missed training for 5 days, and the diet's just been off, and I haven't been sleeping as well, and haven't been reading as much, and that just all them little chips just knock me back the whole time. It's just like getting knocked down. You've got to get back up again and go again, and you knock yourself. It's all self-inflicted as well. And I said, fuck this. In July, I was like, I'm done. I'm just fucking done of drinking. And I swear to God, man, it was the best thing that I'd done last year, was not adding something to my life, but taking something away that was killing my drive for life.
Man, you said it there.
And I felt like, you're going to help me with this example, I felt like your man pushing the rock up the hill, who was...
Oh, God.
I would definitely pronounce
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus.
I think that's Sisyphus.
Imagine he's pushing that rock up the hill, right? And he decides one day, I'll just have a few drinks tonight. He's not pushing that rock as hard tomorrow.
No.
And that's where momentum comes in. When you're fresh, when you're healthy, when you feel good, when you're vitalized, you're pushing that rock up to the top of the mountain, and then you're looking for the next mountain to push another rock up.
Yeah.
And that's how you make progress. Like we mentioned the ladder earlier. You step by step by step.
Yep.
But if things are knocking you down the ladder or knocking you down the hill and you're not pushing as hard, you've just fallen back. So
You
that
gotta-
for me has been huge. It's just
Yeah, you-
eliminating alcohol completely.
You said it beautifully there. Like, you know, you want to add to your life, but sometimes you have to take things away. You know, and for you that was alcohol, which is, if someone came to you now and said, "Listen, I have this drink and this is what it does to you," they'd say, "Yeah, absolutely no way we're putting that out there. No way." People say that like weed and stuff is the gateway drug. I honestly believe it's alcohol.
Oh, it is.
Because you're able to drink from a young age.
Yeah. It's
And that's
promoted everywhere.
like your first like your first interaction with drugs and that kind of scene.
Yeah.
Like, it is honestly the worst thing a young man or woman could do is go out and drink every Friday and Saturday. Oh, but you know, you got to live your life. And it's like, there's plenty of ways to do that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of more fulfilling ways to do that.
Yeah. And look, people are looking for fun, excitement, socializing. I get it, but you can also have it in other ways. And I think a big part of it as well, and you would be very confident, guys, develop your confidence.
Yeah.
Drinking doesn't, like, it gives you this fake bravado confidence
It's
in the moment.
very, very
You wake up tomorrow, you don't feel like the same guy.
I've had certain incidents where guys around, especially Donna Bate, this has happened a few times, where they wouldn't like say hello to you on any other day, but give them a few drinks and they're your best friend.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a minute here. There's something's not adding up here.
If
for me.
something's not adding up, but I also think people tend to be, and sometimes are, somewhat insecure, and it gives them this quiet confidence to then approach you.
It's the fake confidence, yeah.
Fake confidence, yeah. It's not real. It's not. It's yeah, it is, man. It's like, look, it brings people together. I get that.
Yeah,
You socialise
yeah,
is fun.
absolutely.
It comes at an expense, and that expense tends to be your health, which is your energy, which is your vitality.
Yeah.
And for me, that expense is way too much. So I'd
it
rather not drink.
Yeah.
And in saying that, man, you know, I said I'd do a year. I do actually plan to extend that till I'm about 30 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, which is not. It sounds crazy, but it's really not, because I'm like, there's more fun things to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And look, each their own. If people want to drink, let them drink.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I think we encapsulate that pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to number 9, and I'm gonna let you round it up, bro, because your one is it's a special one. It's a special one. But anyway, this one is compound interest, and it kind of feeds into discipline and developing good habits. And, you know, starting at a young age, developing, whether it's, you know, yourself in the gym, eating well, career-wise. Like, just say, for example, you got into acting at what age?
I'm 27 now, so 24.
24.
About 23, 24.
24.
Yeah.
So them years have compounded to give you the confidence to go over to Canada now.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. You know what I mean? And in the gym, over time, like, you're in great fucking shape, man. And the reason why that's happened is because the compound interest of you building up and accumulating multiple sessions. I just think it's so important. But anyway, it comes in many forms. Body can be one. You know, you see it in financial sense as well. If you save over time, you can see it in, you know, I've found with meditation and doing multiple meditation sessions that I just have this internal calmness and peace, and, you know, just it's I just feel more present with people. But the only reason why that's happened is because I've sat with myself for half an hour for 4 times a week on multiple occasions. It's like everything you do in life is going to compound, whether that's good or whether that's bad. But anyway, when I was looking into this principle, I wanted to give a bit of reference to it, and we can kind of openly discuss this. But there's a great book that I found actually on Twitter. I don't know, are you on Twitter?
No.
No, you're not on Twitter. Twitter's a great place, man. But there's this page, it's called Mind Branches, and it breaks down books into kind of like subheadings and gives kind of values. It's beautiful. Brilliant, right? Absolutely love it. But I'm going to discuss the first one.
Cool.
We're going to discuss the 5 of them, but I'm going to say the first one out loud, and you can give me your feedback on it.
Okay.
Because you are a man whose opinion I admire a lot.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Sweeney.
Thank you.
Anyway, listen, the first one is, right, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. For you, what has that secret been, or what are them habits that you've implemented that have had a big effect over time?
Isolation was one of them.
Interesting.
And that's kind of a funny one, because isolation isn't really for everyone.
Not at all.
It can be dark, especially if you're not ready to sit with certain things that's going on in your head. But I found that kind of gave me the headspace to go, okay, what do we need to do?
Mm.
You know, what needs to happen? And when you're honest and you're sitting by yourself in your room for hours on end and you're constantly asking questions, certain answers start to come up and certain answers start to feel a lot stronger than others.
Mm.
And that compounded in itself because I started getting clearer and clearer answers as to what I should do.
What you want to do as
what
well.
I want to do. But like there was times where I wanted to eat a pizza, I wanted to get a Chinese, but I couldn't let that emotion be greater than the vision.
Yeah.
So those answers, after they compounded after X amount of time and I kind of got the ball rolling, it came to a spot where I'm like a year into it and I'm now going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. I'm running. Okay, I'm starting to see and notice some sort of change in the body a little bit. These trousers all of a sudden fit me. This t-shirt fits me a bit better.
Feels a bit tighter.
It feels a bit tight, yeah. And that was the compounding interest through staying consistent with my training, staying consistent with my diet. But that's not even the best part for me. The best part for me was the sitting at my desk in my room for 4 hours, 5 hours in some cases at my desk, going through scripts, figuring out how to dissect a character, figuring out how to adopt a different mindset to be able to put mine aside to transfer it into someone else's thinking, how they look on life, what do they see rather than what do I see. Learning all that and actually understanding that was a compound interest in itself, because I knew some of my classmates, they weren't spending 4 hours every evening doing what I was doing. And through constantly showing up, I started to see that. Oh, they just learned their lines yesterday.
They're not as sharp as you.
No, they haven't spent 20 hours over the last week learning their lines. They basically tried to learn them all together yesterday and they're butchering it.
And it's the willingness to work hard
And
and
that's-
put in that.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're alone? Great question to ask yourself. What am I doing when no one's watching? When no one else is around me? And like all them moments just compound, man. Just compounds. Found in your daily routine. A great example that I heard before was Kobe Bryant talking about like how he became so exceptional. And he would like have 3 training sessions in a day. He would start like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then he'd do one with his team, and then he'd do one after practice. And he says, imagine like how many sessions I've accumulated over 10 years. And no one can compare it.
He's so far ahead, you're not catching up.
So far ahead.
You
Like,
are not catching up.
You're not catching. If someone is doing something repeatedly over and over and over again, you're going to get a great result.
Yep.
And that's always found in your daily routine. And like you mentioned, that time alone, that solitude, that willingness to study your lines, to study actors, study the psychology of it all, it's paying off dividends. Because it's giving you the confidence now to be in a position to be like, okay, I'm going to take this leap and go to Canada because I've got this body of evidence, this hours and hours of footage of me doing the thing that I'm going to excel in. I'm going to push forward. So success is always found in your daily routine.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that.
Right, number 2, small smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference. So the small smart choices plus the consistency plus time equals radical difference.
It's just like an equation, really, isn't it?
It is.
It's a numbers game.
It really is. And that goes for anything you're trying to develop and do in life.
Yeah.
Is make the right choice, do it over and over again, give yourself time, and then you look back in 5 years and there's something massive has changed in your life. You got to stick at it.
Yeah, because numbers don't lie at the end of the day. You know, like 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4.
And it keeps on adding up.
It keeps on adding.
Yeah.
And like if you turn around and say, I've put 40 hours into this week, 40 in next week, 40 the week after, 40 the week after. Like you might not see the progression But that's a serious amount of work. That's a whole lot of time you've just spent doing that. You are better regardless if you do not see it or not.
Well, that commitment of time and the number of reps and making the right decision, you can't not get better.
You can't.
You cannot get better. I love that, man. And like you said, it is a numbers game and it's equation. The next one, number 3, right? So the compound effect is a principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices.
It's like the micro habits, isn't it? The micro responsibilities. You know, it really is the small things, isn't it?
It is.
It really is the small things.
It is such a huge effect. Huge effect. It's going to be huge. But it is. It's so true, man. It's
Can you read that one again, can you?
Yeah,
Please.
of course, yeah. So number 3, the compound effect is a principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices.
Yeah, so if I was to understand that in my terms, from my perspective,
Yeah.
it's the choosing what to eat, choosing to go train, choosing to go and pursue something, and just those 3 things saying, okay, this is what I do every day.
Yeah. And you're also a high performer. So you choosing and selecting right foods gives you enough energy to get to the gym, to do a hard workout, to become more disciplined. And then all that feeds in, that the characteristics that you're now building in the gym feed into your career. So you can see the knock-on effect straight away.
Yeah.
The food you eat gives you better energy. Better energy, hit the gym harder. Hit the gym harder, take them characteristics into my acting, take them characteristics into the acting, excel in the acting. Bit by bit, you climb the ladder. You just keep on progressing.
Definitely, yeah. I would,
Number 4, anyway. I want to hear your insight on this one.
oh, God.
Because they're all very similar, but I think this one, like you kind of mentioned, them small habits, they do add up. It's not the big things that add up in the end. It's the hundreds, thousands, or millions of little things that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. It's good enough.
That, do you know what? That's going to come back to me on that point about winning a Golden Globe. That's going to be that's the holy grail, you know, in my eyes. That's the holy grail. But it's not the winning that, it's the everything in between.
Yeah.
It's from the start to that.
It's the journey.
It's everything in between that I want.
Yeah.
Everything in between is what I want to strive at. So I have this repetition for executing. People knowing that, okay, we can give this to him because we know he's going to do the work. We know he's going to do a good job. He has a reputation for executing. That's what I want. I want to be that one where they're like, oh, well, we can give it to him because we know he's going to do a good job with it, like, you know.
Shows up, he's a responsible guy, he does the work.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing, like.
All these lessons, they do kind of intertwine into, like, this compounding effect relates so much to responsibility.
So much.
Which, you know, relates to accountability and holding yourself in a high regard. They all feed into each other. And it's just like, that's why you are where you are now and about to take the leap to Canada. Is because that you compounded this responsibility over time that has you in a position to take action and lead yourself down a much greater path than what you were going to do. So that's the power of just being consistent as well. Right, number 5. Consistency is the key to achieving and maintaining momentum. Now, we touched on momentum earlier on, and I think it is so key in life, is to build positive momentum towards an ideal that you have or a goal that you're striving towards. And you can strive so much faster when you are sticking to the actual plan that's in place.
Yep.
How would that relate, or does it relate anyway? I know they're all very similar, so you might have a similar answer once again, but like, once again, consistency is the key to achieving and maintaining momentum. You've got to be consistent in your actions to achieve success in life and keep on building. Don't let anything come into your life that's knocking you off balance, that's taking you off course, that's moving you away from the goal that you want to achieve. Be so clear in your path that every day you're taking a step forward, but you're taking that step just a bit quicker now, and it's just a bit faster.
Yeah.
And you're going to reach that goal in a shorter space of time. All gone well.
I think paying attention is a huge part to that, because if you don't pay attention to your actions, you know, where are you going right, where are you going wrong?
Be aware.
Be aware of, like, this is actually something that I was only introduced to when I'm trying to work on a character. I felt like I was doing no work and I was going nowhere. But a guy who I respect hugely in the acting turned to me and he said, you know, when you just like kind of think about a character and you think about what his life was like, what his life is going to be like. He was like, you've no idea the growth you're going to get in a character just by thinking about them, thinking on what they do, how they act, what is their traits, what do they do, what's their thing that they just do that makes them separate to everybody, you know. And it was just like, oh shit, that is still work, isn't it? Like that's still work. I wasn't aware of doing that action that was actually still moving me forward. You know, and sometimes that's all it takes is for someone that's an instant of someone saying, listen, you're doing that's pretty good, or you're doing that, I'd probably knock that on the head.
Yeah.
And you had that recently as well, where someone gave you advice on something and you were aware of it and said, oh yeah, actually I am doing that a little bit too much, you know. And that's where, if we become aware of our habits, aware of our actions, that will help that consistency, that will help that momentum just build and build and build by eliminating what's not going right by being aware. Yeah,
awareness is key, and I think awareness is the beginning of any self-development in life. You've got to, and how I like to summarize awareness is just to notice yourself. That's all it is. Notice your behaviors, notice your actions, your thought patterns, your emotions, your actions. It matter off the example. Look, at the end of the day, in life, if you can build positive momentum towards something and eliminate distraction and eliminate anything that'll knock you off course, you'll get there. At a quicker rate, we also guarantee that you'll get there anyway, which I think is very, very important. But look, at the end of the day, like I mentioned before, compound interest adds up in every sort. Yeah. Listen, you're going to give us number 10, which I'm very excited for. The 10th principle of how to live a more, like I said, personal growth, personal development in 2025. Hit us, Mr. Sweeney.
I think this one for me kind of came from, it was almost like trying to hold accountability for myself when I kind of came up with it, like.
Nice.
And it's to follow your dreams. And I know that can come across sometimes as like, oh yeah, I've heard that so many times. Oh, you know, dream big.
Yeah.
Shoot for the stars. It's like,
how does that actually look like?
Well, why not though as well?
Yeah.
You know, why not aim for something that is so out of reach that it petrifies you
and lights you up at the same time?
And yeah,
that's what gives you that fuel to strive for what you're going for as well. Do you feel quite blessed in the sense that you found what your, would you call it a calling or vocation or passion or kind of purpose for in life? Because like you kind of mentioned there, maybe people listening to this won't necessarily understand because they maybe haven't found it just yet, or maybe in a position that they don't know what it is. Do you feel quite blessed in the sense that you have a clear understanding of the life path that you want to live?
Do I feel blessed? I feel worthy.
I like that.
You know, I feel...
That's good.
I feel as if I've lived my life a certain way over the last X amount of years that have kind of been like, you want this, there it is. Go get it. You're worthy of it. And don't let anyone tell you you're not. Because anyone is worthy of achieving anything they want.
Yeah, if they put the work in.
If they put the work in.
And that's a big if.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to do the work, and then you've got to get to the position where you're undeniable.
I think dreams are a funny one because you see this end product of, you know, maybe it's playing on stage to a massive sold out crowd, or it's you're playing in a World Cup final and you win. You scored a penalty to win the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny how you always see that moment, but you're never shown the in between.
What it took to get to that moment.
You know, you're never shown what it took because no one know. You don't know what it took.
People
You know?
would find it almost too hard to get to understand. It's very difficult to understand because we look, especially sporting events or people stand on stage, you just see them then, but you don't see the hours of dedicated graft and work and grit that was needed to get them in that position.
I think we all have a dream. Dreams can change. I understand that. Like, my first dream was to be a professional rugby player. That changed. You know, that changed, and it took me a couple of years to discover a new dream. And that's the dream I want to chase, right?
Which is acting.
Which is acting, which is pursuing this. So I'm undoubtedly going to win a Golden Globe. That's what I want to pursue. But I didn't see that, okay, I'm going to have to sit at my desk for 4 or 5 hours every day to try and catch up with other people who are already so far ahead. I didn't see that that's what I had to do. I wasn't given a glimpse of that. Because if we were given a glimpse of that, we'd go, oh,
commitment.
I don't know if that's going to be worth it. You know, I have to isolate myself. I have to be a fool again. I have to do something I don't know. I have to admit that I don't know this. Oh, I don't know if I can do that.
But you're now willing to pay that price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I can... I know for a fact when... I think about this a lot. When I stand up on stage and I'm accepting that, I kind of have an idea of what I would say and how I'd feel. But I don't think it's going to be anything like how it's actually going to feel. I think it's going to be a shock to stand there and accept something like that. I don't know if anything can ever prepare you for something like that. That's something that I want to see what that feels like.
Because that'll be just such a surreal moment that you could experience an emotion that, like, who knows, man? Who knows what that would feel like? All the work and dedication and the years of self-belief and the years of persistence and just going after it and chasing. No, I shouldn't say chase. Attracting and working and striving towards that goal.
Yeah, I want to know what that feels like.
Yeah, well, you will know at some stage.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
definitely. Yeah.
In regards to your point, though, this is about pursuing your dream.
Yeah.
What advice, because obviously you're a guy that's actually doing it, what advice would you have for someone that is maybe looking to pursue their dream to a much greater extent?
Think about the consequences if you don't. If you don't try and strive for this, if you don't go for this, that's never going to happen at all.
Yeah.
If you do not put in work and hours, mathematically that can never happen. That's never going to happen at the click of your fingers. Like that can't happen. But if you start and understand that it's a long process, it's a very, very long process. I mean, you're doing better than 90% of people already by just starting. You know, do it, go for it. You've no idea the change your life is going to take,
and it will be worth it.
It will be so worth it. I couldn't imagine being me 5 years ago. I could not imagine that. That's probably now that's a nightmare if I was to go back to what that life was like. Not because of the people who were around me, because of how I was living my life.
Yeah.
Because of the routine I had.
How you're feeling about yourself.
How I was feeling about myself. Chasing a dream makes you feel alive. Makes you feel like you've a purpose. It makes you feel like
you're destined for more.
You're destined for more and you're worth something.
Yeah.
You know? Your own self-worth will instantly kind of...
Because you're not seeking outside validation. You're like, this is my compass. I know I'm on this path, and I know where I'm going, and I know what I've got to do, and I know I've got the character to put the work in. And I think what I really like about, as you're talking there, I'm thinking in my head, and you definitely are the epitome of this. You can delay gratification, so you can't necessarily see the results. Maybe in definitely some elements, 3 years into acting, you're developing your confidence. You're getting better.
Without a doubt,
you definitely 100% get better and better. But you're like, I'm willing to put the work in now and get the reward later because I know it's going to come. And I think you touched on that word earlier on, which I absolutely love, is that you know you'll be worthy of it when you stand on stage to receive the award. You know, I knew this day would come. I knew this day would come because I knew it'd work for it.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I believe that for sure. But it's, even if you don't have a dream yet, you know, even if you're kind of foggy, kind of lost or unsure, I have mentioned it about, like, just take up something and try and get really, really good at it. You know, try get really good at something, because that gives your mind an occupation now. You know, it gives you kind of a something to compare against. You know, if you turn around and, you know, you want to learn how to play guitar 6 months down the line and you're like, wow, I'm really bad, and you kind of go, well, how many hours a week did I put in? 1. It's like, right, okay, I think you need to put a little bit more than that into it, like, you know. You know, it's about finding something remotely interesting and saying, right, okay, I'm going to figure out what this thing is.
And pursue it. And
if it doesn't work out, you don't enjoy it, say, as I've said, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, oh, maybe there's this part of this that's really, really interesting. Maybe I'll go into that.
I like the point you touched on there as well. Like, dreams change. When you were growing up, it was rugby. Now it's acting. And one day, you know, when you achieve the goal that you're set out to do, your dream will change again.
See, that's the beauty about the Golden Globe. I haven't put a title on for best lead, best supporting, best script, best director, because there's so many different avenues that could potentially arise that someone just goes, that's you, that's your thing. You know, like the film I'm writing at the moment, I could tidy that up so much, and who knows, a production company gets on board, and you never know, it might win a Golden Globe for best picture or whatever.
Yeah.
I might not get it for best lead actor.
You just know you're going to get it.
I just know, because I'm doing all of these things based around this thing of film and performing and screenwriting and directing my own stuff, it's like something's going to come from this, and this is what it's going to be. You know,
and you're going to enjoy that moment when it comes.
Like, I think, and I thought about this recently, it's like, because I started this so late, and when that moment comes, I'm taking it all in. I mean, I've watched people accept that award before, and, you know, you can see part of them that it's like, wow, yeah, I'm here, I'm right here, and they go into their speech and everything, but I wanna take a step back and just take it all in.
I'm sure you will, man.
Because that's gonna be a moment that, I mean, my family will talk about that moment for years after.
Generations.
Let that sink in. Like my family are gonna talk about me winning a Golden Globe for years and years and years after it's actually been done. How sick is that? Like imagine that feeling after all the work you've put in, all the hours you've put in.
Yeah.
You've literally just changed your whole family's dynamic, life, everything.
Leaving a legacy behind.
Leaving a legacy.
Legacy. That's what it is. Mr. Darragh Sweeney, listen, bro, it's been an absolute pleasure covering these 10 lessons. I want to thank you so much for coming on board, bro.
Thank you for
I
having me
wish
again.
you the best again, bro.
Thank you.
For the travels in Canada and everything to come, bro. I'm very
Sure.
excited to see what happens. But it might not be the last time you come on anyway before you go.
Oh, we'll see.
We'll wait and see. Listen, thank you very much, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next one. Boom.